to Fight Night. We had to restart as I realized there was no stream delay, and of course we do need that. Very important to have. So I've restarted with a proper stream delay now. Match has started here between Babylon and Davolatos, so we will get started here right away with these player introductions. Introducing first, fighting out of the orange corner, this is the Zerg player. This is Davolatos, excuse me. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner, top right hand side of Royal Blood, it is Babylon. We did see Babylon just previously dispatch Crizel, I do believe, with some very well executed triple Oracle pressure into some Blink Stalker play to finish off the Terran player there. I'm excited to see what Babylon can show us here for his Protoss versus Zerg here. And again, this will be a best of one match as well, as both of these players in the under bracket, and all of these matches will be best of one until we get to the finals of the under bracket, I believe. Excuse me, actually, I think even the finals of the under bracket is a best of one. Probe now, just getting some information here into the main base of Davolatos. And we'll confirm that so far there is nothing too sketchy. Legoland, yes, we did have a restart. I did restart the stream, and I double-checked before I restarted to make sure there was a delay. So there is, in fact, a delay here. And as I've just answered your question, you can let me know if that delay is working. Please do let me know. I want to make sure that there is a delay here. And again, shout out to Legoland for first pointing out that there was no delay to begin with. So I do appreciate that. So far, so good for both of these players. Just looking to get set up in a standard position here so far. Just the one gas for Davolatos. Cyber has just finished up here for Babylon, so we'll see what the first tech choice is going to be for him. As he is working with some adepts to start here to put on the pressure. And it will be Robo first coming out of Babylon here. And I am a bit partial to Robo, I have to say, if only because maybe I think it is. Maybe. Actually, I don't know if I could say it's the most underutilized in this matchup. I think, of course, all three are extremely valid, and I love to see all three. Stargate, of course, I think is the slightly favored one, just to start with those oracles, as they do give you a lot of scouting and a lot of map presence relatively easily. But Robo is nice, very defensive. Can be used offensively, of course, but it is sort of a standard safe opening, as you do have access to detection, warp prisms, of course, which will be the first choice. A little bit of a painful supply block here for Davolatos, as that Overlord will fall now. And a Roach Warren will be dropped here as well for Davolatos. So going to go into some Roaches again, standard composition here, and really, again, you cannot go wrong with Roaches. Of course, you don't want to stay on them, but if you're ever in doubt as to what to go for early on, Roaches always a good choice. Always a good choice here. Mortals being researched now, as well as a Robotics Bay being dropped down here. Could they be used for Colossus? Or perhaps, will we go straight into Disruptors? Now, some of you may be aware of the quote-unquote bug that has been present in StarCraft. At least I still think it is present. That grants Colossus +3 range once extended thermal lance is finished researching, instead of the normal +2. So that does mean that Colossus will have 10 range with their thermal lances rather than the 9. Although I'm not sure, I did hear that it was going to be addressed in the next maintenance maintenance shift for StarCraft 2. As it is now, though, we won't be going into thermal lances. It's actually going to be Warp Prism speed researched here. So we're going to look to do some harassment here with the Warp Prism. Very cool to see, actually. I feel like I don't often see any sort of immortal or even disruptor harassment here, as we do have one of each. So it is my lucky day. We're going to have both flavors here. The proverbial vanilla chocolate swirl, as we are going to head across the map and try to do some harassment damage here with this disruptor. A lot of potential here to get a lot of drone kills. Of course, the Immortal, always a pain to deal with as well. So we're going to head into the main base. There's a Queen and a Spore, which will help to zone out the Warp Prism. First Disruptor ball goes out, gets a big hit. 8 drones there right off the bat in the main base, dropping Davolitos to 33 drones. And at 5 minutes in this game, not exactly what you want to see. Now, Davolitos knows he's got to get something on the board as well. So he is moving out with his Lings. Is there a wall off? There is not. So these Lings kind of get inside. Excuse me, I am blind. Apparently, I didn't see the Adept there. So these Lings will be prevented from entering into the natural base. That was close. However, there is no third base. These Lings did see that there is no third base here for Babylon. Could mean one of two things. Babylon is gearing up for a very strong 2-base push here, or he's just severely lacking in his macro. Now, if we just take a look at the production tab, though, we can safely say that it is the first choice here, the former, as we do have Colossus already moving out. We've got some Stalkers. We've got an Immortal here joining the fray. No Twilight upgrades yet for these Protoss units, but hey, who needs them when you have a force this menacing, this strong? And when you're outsupplying your opponent 103 to 86, as Babylon is doing, and he's going to take the supply and march straight across the map here towards Davolitos. Davolitos, now that these units are on creep, going to see what is happening here. Disruptor shot will go out, gets a huge bunch of roaches there, effectively chopping off a huge supply of that army to start with. So Davolitos, the defense here, going to look very, very difficult now, as this third base, I think, I'm sorry to say, is going to be forfeit almost immediately here. We do have 2 disruptors as well in the back, so decent amount of disruption nodes as well to help out this army. This Colossus doing work as well. Queen will fall, and these drones have been evacuated, but they are right into the path of these Protoss death units here, as they will continue to march across, and Babylon looking to stomp through this Protoss player as he did with the Terran player he dispatched in his previous game. Davolitos trying to set up some sort of defense here. Roach button is being held down. Queen's being pulled to the front line as well, trying to zone out these Protoss units, but they're not going to do too well. It's just 2 Queens against this death ball of Protoss. Babylon, again, is committed to this. No third base has been dropped down, continuing to warp in more and more units here. Davolitos is against the ropes, is fighting for his tournament life here as Babylon smells blood, and he is slowly encircling Davolitos. Gonna back up a little bit, it looks like, just to give him a little bit of breathing room, as actually, in fact, Davolitos expertly sending out a Ling run by forces a cancel on that third base. Babylon doesn't look like he wants to go back home, though, wants to press his advantages. I think he should. 88 to 60 is the army supply disparity, with Babylon in the favored position here, and he's going to send out another Disruption Nova. Gets a big hit there as well on Davolitos' units. Davolitos so far not able to get the best splits off against those Disruption Novas, and this force of Roaches and Ravagers is pressing forward, but they are going to get taken out center mass with a huge Disruption Nova as well, and there goes the army there for Davolitos as Babylon continues to press forward. Will stop in front of the main base, staring at him menacingly. And Davolitos congratulating his opponent there before finally being forced to tap out. Babylon continues on in the lower bracket. Extremely well done there by Babylon. As, again, sorry guys, I cannot talk and type at the same time, so if I see something on the screen, I'm going to have to stop talking here. But it does look like Babylon getting ready for his next match, and I will show you all who exactly he will be fighting next here. So it will be Babylon versus Heyman up next. Again, in the lower bracket, round 3. And as I mentioned previously, all of these matches in the lower bracket will be best of ones. We are going to zip right through this lower bracket until we get to the finals, which then will be a best of 5. So Heyman and Babylon going to be the next. Great match there by Babylon, showing us some very interesting Warp Prism Immortal harassment there. And the Disruption Nova hits were there for him as well, grabbing big chunks of army, grabbing big chunks of workers as well. We are just waiting to figure out what server to play on here between these two players. Again, Babylon and Heyman going to be up next. A PvP here, always exciting to see what kind of shenanigans we'll get up to. See how far down the evolutionary tree will regress into. And if you see me check my phone, I'm not being antisocial. I like to try to lighten the load on my computer as much as I can, so I've got Discord and my Twitch dashboard here on my phone as well. Eh. So far, Babylon showing some really impressive stuff here. I do apologize. It's just trying to get the right server set up. I mean, we'll get started here very soon. And for those of you who are just recently joining us, welcome again. This is StarCraft 2 Fight Night. I'm your host, Stasis, and tonight we are covering the Amateur League Weekly number 65 tonight. We've got Heyman and Babylon coming up right now. PvP, so all the Protoss fans, maybe do a shout out in the chat. I myself play Protoss. Of course, I know you're already thinking in your head. But I have to say, I'm not I'm not crazy about playing the mirror matchup. I like watching it. I like casting it. Playing it is another story altogether, as we are already into the match here. And I'll get started here with the player introductions. Introducing first, fighting out of the orange corner, top right-hand side of Royal Blood. It is our Protoss player, Babylon. And his opponent fighting out of the green corner, bottom left-hand side of Royal Blood. It is the other Protoss player, Heyman. Watch the probes, is what I have to say, especially in PvP. So far, both of these players relatively mirrored. Babylon going for an earlier gas than Heyman is. Both of these probes will meet in the center of the map, so both of these players knowing something is heading their way. Could it just be a scout? Or could it be something far more nefarious? Only time will tell, and by time I mean just another 5 seconds before these probes approach the main bases of their opponents. Babylon being annoying with his probe here, trying to harass and annoy the builder probes of Heyman. Both of these players going 2 gates now into their cyber cores as well. Cyber cores also relatively equally placed in terms of time. And Heyman with a cheeky little pylon block there on the ramp of Babylon, going to force him to maybe use some units or probes to tear down that pylon. Meanwhile, Babylon's still in Heyman's main base here, just getting as much information as he can, opting not to put down a structure yet. He will be the more honorable one here, as he will not place down a pylon. Meanwhile, Heyman's is up and running here. 2 Stalkers going to be the choice here for Babylon, while 2 Adepts will be the choice here for Heyman. We do have the 2 Adepts moving across the map right away. And unfortunately, Babylon Stalkers are going to be split up here. I'm not sure if that was an intentional desire, maybe wanting to leave one back home behind the pylon to work on it. Maybe wanted to keep it behind the pylon as well in case any pressure came his way so he could hide behind it. As it is now, though, he's weakened it a decent amount that even these Adepts could tear it down. But now this other Stalker are going to find these Adepts, and they will be able to shade in as the pylon does go down. Stalkers trying to chase and mirror them. The Adepts want to get on the mineral line, though, and start taking down probes. First shot goes to the assimilator. 1 probe will go down. Will we get a second one? Yes, we will. And a third as well. Just want to double check. 4 probes actually lost there for Babylon. So decent first blood already struck there by Heyman, targeting the economy of Babylon. And Babylon going to miss these other 2 Adepts, moving towards, again, Babylon's main base here. Warp Gate has just finished up. We'll see if these 2 units that Babylon will be able to warp in will be able to contest this Adept move out at the same time. Babylon moving across the map, trying to get some damage done on the pylons here, but it's these Adepts that are really causing the more pressing issue right now for Babylon, as they are getting more and more probe kills here. These Stalkers desperately trying to take down that last Adept. Babylon trying his best to pull workers, force them into the assimilator to save some of them, but will lose some worker losses here. 21 to 25 is the worker count, with Heyman in the lead. So not a crazy disparity there, but decent economic damage to start with already. As now Heyman will warp in. Couple more Stalkers here, and we'll finally feel comfortable to move down, contest this natural base that Babylon has so far been working on. First volley goes on to the lead Stalker there of Babylon. Will it get taken down here? Yes, it will. Babylon losing a Stalker, as well as a good chunk of workers here to Heyman. Let's look at that worker loss count. So 6 probes in total, as well as 1 Stalker. Interestingly, it is Heyman who has lost more minerals, as he did lose a shield battery and 3 pylons. I'm not sure where that came from. May have been on his own base. Maybe he destroyed them himself. As it is now, though, Babylon feeling emboldened to move out, as he does have a decent stalker count as well. 8 stalkers to the 4 of Heyman, but Heyman, importantly, has an immortal, which will prove to be extremely valuable now as these stalkers show themselves here, trying to target fire the lead units here for Heyman. But as Babylon does see the immortal present, will back off a little bit. He knows he doesn't want to take that fight. Shield battery has just finished up as well for Heyman, so his position on the natural base is going to be even more solidified. Babylon opting to go for Blink now, wants to grab that upgrade and perhaps get right back into the face of Heyman. I'm not surprised as we have seen how capable Babylon is with his aggression, especially with his stalkers, as he will get a decent scout off with that Phoenix. So Babylon opting already for the early stalker Blink style, while Heyman has played a little bit more defensively, getting out 2 immortals first before moving into that Twilight Council. And interestingly, Charge going to be the first choice out of that Twilight Council here for Heyman. So competing gateway upgrades here for these 2 players. Charge against Blink. I guess on paper you'd have to give it to Blink, as stalkers will be able to kite zealots, but they do require proper amount of control there and proper amounts of Blink timing. So it will come down very much to the control of these 2 players, who has the better micro, who has the better army control when it comes down to fights. Now, Babylon will have his 3rd base up and running quite soon. Meanwhile, Heyman still on 2 bases here, opting to build up his units instead, as he is not probing up. Babylon does have the higher worker count, and instead Heyman choosing to sit back more on his upgrades, teching up even more, getting the Templar archives, which will prove to be extremely valuable here. Archons in general, just a good unit, GUD, especially against Zealots here in a PvP matchup. Now Babylon, of course, not going for a Zealot heavy composition. Regardless, Archon's great to soak up that damage, to be just extra energy shields for these Protoss units now. Pikachu92, thank you so much for joining the stream and for following. We're glad to have you in here. Glad to have you joining us for this exciting clash of Protoss Titans, Babylon versus Heyman. +1 attack, both being researched by both players now, as it is Heyman who finally will start on his Blink upgrade, and Babylon who will be finishing his charge as well. So slight lead there for Babylon as far as his Twilight Council upgrades go, but both of these players so far seeming content to just sit back, build up. Heyman dropping his 3rd base as well, but one thing that concerns me is the fact that Babylon's 3rd base has been up and running for a few minutes now. And that income advantage, as you can see here, well in favor of Babylon. As the longer this game goes on, the more that this income advantage will snowball for Babylon. And you can't help but think that it will translate into supply counts as well, particularly army supply counts as well. And we all know more stuff beats less stuff, as he is continuing to warp more and more units in, and that supply count is starting to grow worrisome. 118 to 94, not a crazy disparity there. Hey man, I love this positioning of the observer as well. I'm going to be able to see exactly the composition of Babylon. And there it is. That was all the vision that Heyman had access to, as Babylon's own observer finally arrived. Babylon not too heavy on the forward map vision here. Then again, neither is Heyman, as he did have a Phoenix briefly there just to confirm what he already saw. But the vision now just trying to be established by both of these players, as Heyman deciding to move out now, has some Archons. The biggest difference between these 2 players in their armies, for sure, is the presence of Archons in Heyman's, and they will be especially effective against these Zealots of Babylon. So I would give Heyman the heads-up advantage in composition. Babylon's main saving grace right now is the superior supply count that he does have. But again, it is not that great of a disparity, and in fact, the army counts are pretty much the same here, and it is going to be Heyman moving out. Babylon, I think, does whiff this out and is positioning his army appropriately, but again, those are a lot of Archons, and those are a lot of Zealots that will fall prey to those Archons now. Guardian Shield being popped, and Heyman gonna full send it now with the Archons leading the charge here. That is so many Immortals, gonna chunk through those Stalkers as well. Shield Battery Overcharge will be popped, but as I said before, the Archons have completely moved through the Stalker shield of Babylon. However, it is Babylon who is blinking forward now. It doesn't want to face those Immortals, though. That is the backstop there for Heyman, and a vital one at that. Warp Prism for Heyman is clutch here. Going to warp in some more Zealots. Maybe after this round of Zealots, he will be able to overtake Babylon here, as again, these units are continuing to press forward. Sentry is taken out now. Zealots in the front working against Stalkers, and these Immortals going to have to retreat now as another clutch warping of Zealots is finished here for Babylon, and now this War Prism will get taken out. Excellent snipe there by Babylon, who forces Heyman to retreat home with a recall. Tense first engagement there by both of these players, but Babylon able to expertly hold his position despite how tentative and dangerous it was looking for him at first. I gave Heyman the points for the army composition, as he did have a huge handful of Archons. By huge, I mean 4 to 5, but that's a pretty decent number there, as well as a huge handful of Immortals. And he does still lead the Immortal count with 6, but Babylon not far behind. Heyman using this opportunity again to move out. Babylon notably has gotten his 4th base and a 5th one at that. Heyman may come across this 5th base as it's just setting up. Heyman himself staying on 3rd base is instead choosing to army up here. Unfortunately, as it stands, he is slightly lower in the army supply count, just as he was about to catch up another warp in here by Babylon, going to increase his army supply lead as well. Babylon does also have a slight upgrade lead, I do believe. Both of these players +2 attack, but it is Babylon with the +1 armor already, +2 already coming in just a few seconds now. And Heyman will again start to move out here, utilizing those Archons again. Biggest notable difference between these two players, who both have relatively the same and equal army supplies. It is Heyman who's opting to lean into the Archon count here. Disruptor Nova goes forward, lands center mass, but these Protoss units are just so chunky, they do laugh it off, but that one gets a huge clump of Archons, and already so much of the shield for Heyman has been taken out, as Babylon holding his ground here, not even using shield battery overcharge. The Archons in the front, chunking through this army of Heyman, gonna press forward, gonna send Heyman back into the 5th base of Babylon, maybe working against Heyman there, as those Immortals almost get taken out there by those Disruption Novas. 2 do get taken out. Aggressive blink forward there by Babylon. We'll clean up the rest of this force here. And again, Heyman thwarted in his attempts to land a significant blow against Babylon, resorting to trying to use Zealot run-bys, as he knows he's in a precarious position. His army supply is extremely low, and he desperately needs these Zealots to buy him time, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Babylon content, staying at home, solidifying his position now. 5 bases. Heyman still on 3, but he's got more pressing issues to worry about, namely the army supply disparity as he continues to warp in, relying again on those Archons. But against Disruption Novas with their extra shield damage, it may not be enough here, as Babylon finally feeling like he wants to be the one to move out, setting up a little Zealot run-by as well. If all goes Babylon's way, he will again proceed forward after dispatching one of each race here. First Disruption Nova does land decently against a couple of Immortals, so those Immortals going to be bruised for the rest of the game here. Zealot run by forcing these workers off of the 3rd base, so that's a huge economic blow to Heyman, who's trying to deal with 2 forces essentially. Immortal will get surrounded here, and Babylon trying to pick his fights. Huge Disruption Nova will catch his own stalkers, it looks like. Unfortunately, a miscontrol there. Or maybe it was from Heyman. I don't know. Don't listen to me, guys. What do I know? I just know that these two players are going to clash right here in the middle of the map. The Disruption Novas are clutch there for Babylon as he continues to move forward. Aggressive blink forward. This could be the beginning of the end as a huge hit from Heyman lands center mass on Babylon stalkers, but I don't think it's going to be enough now. The army supply is still in favor of Babylon, and he is still in Heyman's face, has him against the ropes. Heyman's third base is completely forfeit now, as he took a huge worker loss as well. The supply count is looking pretty abysmal here for Heyman. Hanging on to a dream, a prayer, a meditation, a positive affirmation, whatever you want to call it. Two Disruption Novas to his name, two Disruptors to his name, excuse me, as the first one will land forward. Will get taken down before the Disruption Nova lands, and the second one also taken down now, so just a handful of stalkers standing between Heyman and the end of the game. Make that one stalker now, as he has nothing in the tank left. Gonna GG and tap out. Babylon takes this match. Babylon, Babylon, Babylon. This kid, I have seen him on a tear so far this tournament. Seen him on an absolute tear. Hi there, Hybrid. So sorry it took me a little bit to get to your message. Was, as you can tell, busy casting barn burner of a PvP there, but great to see you again, man. It's going well. Bit of a shaky start here with this tournament, but actually not really. I don't know why I said shaky start. I just took a little bit to find some players to start casting, but I'm glad I was able to get in with Babylon. I asked him 3 matches ago, hey, can I start casting your matches? He said sure, and we've just seen him on an absolute tear of a run here through the bottom bracket. And Colt Classic saying, Medium Babylon, Colt, are you also in this tournament? Or have I just misread your statement there? Let me try to look at this bracket. It is going to be Colt Classic, actually. I just saw him join the party. So Colt Classic, good luck to you. Pleasure to have you in the chat here, and we do wish you well. I hope watching Babylon's handiwork has not intimidated you too much now. I would be. I mean, the Disruption Novas, again, we're there for him, and the expert defensive play from Babylon I'm also impressed with. I thought that first push out from Heyman was going to do some significant damage, but Babylon able to hold his ground, utilizing the Blink Micro and Shield Battery Overcharge to hold off Heyman's assault. So we are going to move forward now. Both of these players working on their map vetoes. And I will pull up bracket for them. So as I said, it will be Colt Classic up against Babylon next. Colt Classic, a Zerg player, it says, according to his card. So I'm excited to see a PVZ this time. We have seen Babylon. He gave us a sampler platter. He first gave us his PVT against Krizel, then moved on to a PVZ against another player whose name does elude me, unfortunately. Again, Memory of a Goldfish, for those of you who are new to me. Memory of a Goldfish. And we just saw Babylon up against a Protoss player as well in Heyman. Heyman gave it really a great fight. I think he gave the most intense fight thus far. And as I said, his first push out was looking rather dangerous, but Babylon just proving to be a bit better in his defensive play. These two players just going through their vetoes, and we will get started here in a second. For those of you just joining, welcome, and thank you for tuning in to StarCraft Fight Night. I'm your host, Stasis, and I'm bringing you the Amateur Tournament Weekly, number 65. Great games so far. I'm very fortunate to be casting these games. I've been wanting to for a little bit. Some of you may know me from the DesignedKiller Tournament cast that I've been doing. Another great tournament which you should check out. Great players in that tournament too, and great organizer as well. Shout out to Abathoor, who's just a boss of a player, super helpful to me, and adept Zerg player as well, I might add. Likes to mix it up with his off race sometimes too, which is always a pleasure to watch. But right now the focus is going to be again on Babylon and Cult Classic. We do wish Cult Classic the best, as he was gracing us with his presence in the stream earlier. And now we're going to see what he's capable of on the field as we are getting started now. First map going to be Dragon Scales here in this lower losers bracket, round 4, I believe. Again, all of these matches in the losers bracket going to be best of 1. Even the final match of the losers bracket before we get into the finals, and that will be a best of 5. So now both of these players loading into Dragon Scales, and I myself will load myself into Dragon Scales as well. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting out of the orange corner, it is the Protoss player, Babylon. And his opponent fighting out of the pink corner, this player is a Zerg player. He is Cult Classic. Cult Classic going for the classic Zerg cheesy play here with an early pool. Now, may not be complete cheese here, but he certainly will have some early lings here, which he will look to do some kind of early damage with. And Babylon going for a Gateway Scout as well. We'll confirm that there is not yet a natural base set up, and we'll confirm the early timing of that pool. So Babylon not letting his scouting slip any bit here. Can have full knowledge of this. Yep, confirms it. What is going to be the response here from Babylon now? With players as good as these two are, there is very much danger in overreacting, because that can put you far behind, which can be almost as dangerous as having lings rush through your base here. So you do have to walk that fine line here, and we'll see just how capable Babylon is of walking that line. Gonna wall up here with 2 gates on the low ground. Already Zealot has been pumped out there to guard the entrance, and couldn't come fast enough, as we do have lings moving across the map as well. They're gonna try to maybe take down a building here. They will have more latitude to do so, as this Zealot is a melee unit, remember. So the control they're going to have to be there for Babylon. This is one of the more interesting micro battles to see. You don't want the Zerglings to start attacking the Zealot. You want to force the Zealot out of its position, its doorway position, maybe try to wriggle your Zerglings through. But it does look like the control was there for Babylon, and now with an Adept behind, Cult Classic wisely seeing that he will need to back up a little bit here. Still has access to these lings though, which do give him map presence, and maybe even will help him to deny any third base move outs that Babylon has planned for the future. Natural Nexus will be dropped there for Babylon as well. Cult Classic with his natural hatchery also going to be finishing up here relatively soon as well, and Zergling Speed going to be worked on as well from the spawning pool here. So far, Babylon able to decently defend this sort of early Zergling pressure from Cold Classic. Was not super committed, so I don't think Cold Classic loses all that much either. Does take a little hit to his economy in comparison to where he could have been, of course, if he just played it with a later pool. But overall, both of these players relatively equal so far as it stands now. It is Babylon with the higher worker count. These adepts, we'll see these lings just sitting right outside his base. Does he finish the shade? He does not. Thankfully, I don't think that would have been a great trade for those adepts. Lings, again, just trying to get more vision here. Going to creep up into the wall of the natural base here of Babylon. We do have a Stargate as well, and an Oracle going to be coming out of here for Babylon. We saw how capable he was with his Oracles against Krizel, a Terran player. If he can make it work against Terran, may just be able to make it work against Zerg as well. And I have to agree with you too, Hybrid 2 base layer before the Nat is even done is interesting, he says. I have to agree with that too. Interesting choice there by Cold Classic. Something about his play already though tells me he's gonna give a decent match here to Babylon. As we do have a Nidus popping out here for Cold Classic. That answers that question as to the interesting sort of setup we were seeing here from Cold Classic, as links right into the main mineral line. Stalker's being pulled to address this issue, but this is looking kind of dicey here for Babylon as well, as another Queen and more lings are streaming out. The Oracles are across the map, rapidly trying to go back home here, but the supply count for Babylon is rapidly falling as well. The warping of these units, they're not in any sort of wall, so they get instantly surrounded and taken down here, as Cold Classic is doing mega damage here in the main base of Babylon. These Oracles, though, across the other side, before they got here, did mega damage to the worker count of Cold Classic, so both of these players on very low worker counts, and both of these players, I think, relatively equal so far. It does depend on the next few minutes here. Stargate is taken down. No more Oracles here to help defend. Only 2 Warp Gates to work with as well, so gonna be a tough defense here for Babylon. 2 shield batteries to fall back on, though. I think we'll keep them alive for the time being, and these Oracles trying to just save up their energy here and contribute to the fight. Unfortunately, that is the drawback with Oracles here. They do have a limited energy usage and a limited amount of time they can help with fights here. 4 Adepts here for Babylon, but it is looking to be a worse and worse position for him here as his main base is taken out here, and these are so many lings. They're going to stream down through the ramp into the natural mineral line, going to try to take out these shield batteries. Oracles are there, but they have so low energy. I don't know how much they're going to be able to help out, as one Oracle can't even help out. Great transfuses there on one of the Queens there. These lings are tearing through the infrastructure of Babylon. These Oracles standing their ground, but he just has a few units here, and with his worker count chopped off at the head, he's not going to be able to have any more warp-ins, and it looks like perhaps the run here that we've seen from Babylon will be cut short from Cold Classic, the Zerg player, with some brilliant Nidus play. 13 supply for Babylon. Don't see much of an opportunity for him to get out of this position. More and more lings streaming across the map. Cold Classic just holding down that lane key. He doesn't have many workers himself, but certainly more than Babylon, and Babylon valiantly trying to fight to the end here, but it does look like he will be forced to tap out. He is bloodied up. He's down to 2 bases as he did get a 3rd up, but there's the tap out. GG. Cold Classic takes it. Expertly done there by Cold Classic. Lovely to see. This man was just chilling in the chat with us before saying, "See you in there, Stasis." And I was like, "What? You're in this tournament too?" So well done there by Cold Classic, and well done there by Babylon. We started this stream watching his run, and it truly has been an honor and a pleasure to do that. We saw him tear through one of each race, but it was the final boss of a Zerg player, that is Cold Classic, that eventually stopped him in his tracks. And Colt Classic now will move on to the finals of the lower bracket here. Moving on to the finals of the lower bracket. Finals, again, will still be a best of one. So we get to the finals. Take a look at the bracket here to see who is the poor soul who will face him. And it does look like we will have King of Comedy, was another Zerg player facing off against Colt Classic. So we can see here by the bracket. Winner of this match, it is a best of one, will go on to face Legoland in the finals match. And Legoland actually also gracing us with his presence earlier in the chat. So we were glad to have him. It looks like he was the one who sent the King of Comedy down to the lower brackets. So we'll see if his StarCraft play, if his ZVZ is as good as the jokes that he tells, which I'm sure are great. I personally haven't had the honor to visit any one of his, I don't know, comedy shows, but I'm sure they're great. Maybe he can share some of his tight five with us after his match. We will have a ZVZ for the final match of the losers bracket here. And hold on to your hats is all I can say. ZVZ, I think one of the faster mirror matchups. Things can change in the blink of an eye. And for those of you that were there with me 2 days ago, that's right, it is Sunday. Friday night, I did cast the High Caliber Cup from DesignedKiller Tournaments. Great tournaments, great players, great organizer. And casted a couple of ZVZs from Hybrid, who is joining us right now in the chat. Hybrid, take a bow. Hybrid and Pudgy, and amazing ZVZs. Legoland asking if the Snazzy suit is here to stay. And that is the plan, Legoland. That is sort of the... that's all I have, really. I've got a huge shrine to Barney from How I Met Your Mother in my room, and I follow the core tenets of his teachings, and one of them, of course, is to always have a nice suit ready to go. So we've got one here. This is a Target brand. Actually, don't know. I think I picked this jacket up from Express. Not Express. What was it? The equivalent of Express in the UK. I can't remember the name. Wow, this is gonna bug me. Anyway, Legoland, short answer, yes. I'll always wear a suit. Trying to get Mitchie in the lobby. No worries, Colt Classic. You guys take your time. I know this takes a little bit of setup. Again, I'm just grateful I'm able to cast and enjoy these matches with you all, with the viewers here. And I'm excited to get into this ZVZ here. Hybrid, yeah, those matches with Pudgy were, I think, some of the best ZVZs I've had in recent memory. But we'll see if King of Comedy and Colt Classic are going to give you a run for your money here. Lego man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I do. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the suit appreciation. So there are no plans to change soon. So thank you for that, man. Marks and Spencer's? No, not Marks and Spencer's. It was in Bristol. H&M Primark? No. Wow. I was recommended this store by a friend. These are actual, British-born uni students, so I'd have to go back in my messages and check. scroll all the way up past the memes and the good night texts, you know. Gotta text the homies good night. As we will be getting set up here shortly between these two players. And again, if you do, I will be checking my phone. But as I mentioned earlier, I swear I'm not trying to be antisocial. I'm trying to lighten the load on my dinosaur of a computer here. So I do have Discord and Twitch on my phone that I cycle between, of course, just to check everything and stay on top of everything here. This Twitch is telling me we've got a grand total of 5 viewers. Welcome, welcome, guys. Really appreciate you joining the stream here, joining us for StarCraft 2 Fight Night Casting, the Amateur Tournament Weekly, number 65. King of Comedy, I'm already getting a taste of his comedic style, as his in-game name is Clappin' Cheeks. So we'll see if he's going to be clapping any Zerg cheeks. Never in a million years did I think I would say that sentence. Or will it be his cheeks that are going to be clapped tonight? I'll stop. I'll stop. We'll see. ZVZ, you never know. And with the best of one, you especially never know what could happen here. So these two players have loaded in. Just going to check if Colt Classic has indeed left the stream. I know he was joining us previously, and I do appreciate, I welcome the players joining the stream as well. But of course, during their match that I'm casting, are going to need them to head out, just in the interest of fairness, of course. So I'm going to check here. Here's my voice. I'm going to double check with him. My chat viewers is slow to, what's the word, update on my end. So I'm going to ask him, actually. I'll show the match in a little bit. Just going to confirm that Colt Classic is in fact out of the stream, but I can do the player intros as well, as that's not going to really give him any information he doesn't already know. And again, this is not to say that Colt Classic is the type of player to watch the stream against the player he's playing against. Again, I'm sure these players are really good about leaving streams, but I just have to make sure, because it says one thing on my end and then another on a different end. So introducing first, fighting out of the pink corner, it is the Zerg player Colt Classic. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner, this player is another Zerg player. It is Clappin' Cheeks, aka King of Comedy, as we can already tell with that delectable player name, Clappin' Cheeks. Both of these players not opting for any sneaky sort of shenanigans, as a hatchery has been placed before the pool. So at least for the first few minutes, we're going to have macro-focused openers here. Zach Vac, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate it, man, and welcome to the stream. Welcome to StarCraft 2 Fight Night. Hope you're enjoying these matches as much as I have been. As these two ships passing in the night, these two overlords are going to pass by each other on their way to get some information from the other player. And it is going to be, Clappin' Cheeks is going to start with the Ling production here and the Ling speed. Ling speed, a dangerous upgrade to have in this matchup. If you can have it first, and if you can have your Lings on the other side of the map with proper control, you can really put a hurting on your opponent here. Two scouting lanes coming in for Cold Classic. Gonna see what the deal is. Gonna check out sort of the tech, the gas saturation. But they will get zoned out here by the Lings of Clappin' Cheeks. Great run around there by Cold Classic, who's going to be able to get into the mineral line and see that the spawning pool is in fact researching something. And more than likely, sure he knows that it's going to be Zerg's speed, as we do have the wall being placed down here for Cold Classic, 2 Evos, and Roach Warren as well. So Roach is going to be the first sort of next tier up for Cold Classic, whereas Clappin' Cheeks opting for the Baneling Nest here. Have a potential for explosive plays. Roberto Bomb, welcome to the chat. This is, for all you folks who don't know, this is one of those rare IRL friends. So, super happy to have him here. Interesting to have him see me in this, I don't know, light, I guess. I do just want to chill with him. But of course, got to keep it professional here, as we do have Lings running into this natural base of Cold Classic and try to take down this Queen. Drones are going to be pulled here to try to defend against these Lings, as there's really not much in the main base in the way of army units for Cold Classic, and more Lings streaming across the map. Clappin' Cheeks going to try to press his advantage here. That is not a full wall. Cold Classic lacking the army units here. Not much being produced. Finally, 12 Zerglings being produced here in the hatchery, but so many drones falling here as these Lings continue to do damage. Huge spike up in drone count loss, and already things looking dire for Cold Classic. Both of these players equal in worker counts for the time being, provided no more workers are lost here for Cold Classic. It's going to be a tall order. We do have Roaches finally popping out. We do have, I believe, the Lings. I don't see any Lings here for Cold Classic, so just a couple of Roaches here. Drones desperately trying to run away here, and but even the Roach is taken down. So mayhem in the natural base. More Lings streaming in. Cold Classic on the back foot already. Is back against the cage as Clappin' Cheeks is hitting down that W key, trying to get as much economic damage done. 20 workers lost already for Cold Classic. Clappin' Cheeks climbing slightly in the worker count. Cold Classic staying on top of his drone production, at least he was now, as he is focusing on Queens and Roaches to try to defend here. Does have a Roach and a Dream currently with very low health to try to defend, but it looks like he will be able to finally stabilize as the last of these Lings are cleared up. And these workers can resume back to their mining duties. 26 workers will be lost here for Cold Classic as the result of a really well-timed Zergling rush here, utilizing that Zergling speed. Unfortunately, there wasn't a unit here blocking this hole in the wall for Cold Classic, so these Zerglings were able to just stream in, and there it was a bit downhill. Cold Classic recognizing that he screwed the pooch a little bit. I'm not sure if maybe he thought there was a full wall off, but he will tap out, actually. That is going to be it for him. The economic loss too much for him. Not even wanting to go for some kind of Roach counterattack there, as he will tap out. And Clappin' Cheeks will continue forward into the finals match. Yeah, the walling off there, not as perfect as it needed to be to defend against those Roaches, unfortunately, there for Cold Classic. I mean, it happens to all of us. So, good game by both of those players. Cold Classic valiantly defended. He was able to clean it up, but realized that the economic damage had been done, in fact, and opting to tap out there. So it is King of Comedy / Clappin' Cheeks who will advance forward. I see. So Zagvac giving us a bit of a replay there. Queen was blocking, he says, but the Lings came in, it looks like, when the Queen was injecting. So catching Cold Classic just a little bit out of position there. And as I said, ZVZ, one of the fastest matchups, I think, things can change in the blink of an eye, as we saw there. So welcome, Roberto. And I do like your, I didn't know Finnish golfer said that hybrid. This is going from worse to worse. Very apt praise here. We will be moving on to the next match here. And again, I have to repeat, I cannot talk and type at the same time, guys. So I do apologize if I just die on stream when I have to focus on typing here. Looking classy. Thank you, Roberto. Appreciate it. You know, I thought I would go for the full-on sportscaster look. Using my very expensive, high-quality mic as well. This is a blue Yeti headset. I'm sure it sounds great as well. Let me take a look at the bracket here to see. I do believe it is Legoland, we've already established, who will be facing King of Comedy in the finals, and that is the case here. So we have made it from the losers bracket, round 1 of the losers bracket, all the way to the final. Started from the bottom, and we are here now. Legoland versus King of Comedy / Clap and Cheeks. Going to be a PVZ. Really, really exciting matchup. And I'm excited to see how Clap and Cheeks, how his PVZ looks. Legoland, again, did grace us in the chat earlier, so we do appreciate having you here. Now we're excited to see what your StarCraft looks like, what your Protoss play looks like here. Just now waiting for Legoland to take the stage. Calling Legoland, please take the stage here. Cold Classic, I can imagine that that's a feeling to swallow. I do apologize for you, man. But you really did give him a good fight. You know, you were able to clean up all the lanes in the main and natural, but yeah, sometimes I guess it does just shake down that way with the walling. I understand that is annoying. But I do want to thank you for letting us cast it, as it was an enjoyable match to cast, and your match previous to that against, again, Goldfish Brain here, guys. Babylon, was it? Or Heyman? I'm embarrassing myself with my memory. Clap and Cheeks, can you invite? We will get started here shortly. Legoland is in the chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate you joining us here. But unfortunately, in the interest of fairness and integrity, we'll need you to leave the chat as well. I'm sure that's what he's planning on doing as well. Both of these players going to go through their map picks. But again, yeah, just for, what's the word, integrity's sake, so that I don't accidentally tip him off as to what Clap and Cheeks is up to here. And I do apologize, guys. I'm going to take this moment now, this brief pause, to get some more water here. This will be a best of 5, not super long, but I just haven't had some water in a little bit, so I'm going to use this opportunity now, and I will be right back. Alrighty, I am back. I am back. Told you it wouldn't be that long. Legoland, thanks for leaving. Appreciate it. I feel weird asking somebody to leave stream, leave the chat. But again, due to my unique observer position here, obviously we don't want to give any unfair advantages. We are going to get started here. Just kidding. Wrong map was chosen. We will get started here soon. Could host Home Story Cup. Thank you, man. Would like to, of course. Don't even know how to acknowledge it because that is quite far off from where I'm at now, but that would be the dream, of course. I think we're in the right map now. We are. We're getting started now. As, again, we are moving on to the finals match here. We're loading into the game. Let me get everything set up here. Check the messages, make sure everything is going all right, going to plan. Brilliant, we are. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. Introducing first, fighting out of the yellow corner. This player is a Zerg player, and this player is Clappin' Cheeks, aka King of Comedy. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner. This player is a Protoss player. It is Legoland Man. So a PVZ for these grand finals of the Amateur League Weekly number 65. Those of you joining the cast now, or those of you who have been with us this entire journey, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you all joining, and I'm excited to have you here in this, what I'm sure will be a truly exciting finals match between these two extremely capable players. We followed the tournament run here, starting off in the losers bracket, round 1, making our way all the way through. The players we were following changed hands, eventually landing us on Clappin' Cheeks, who last dispatched a Zerg opponent, Colt Classic, who also, I believe, is with us in the chat. Colt Classic, if you want to give a bow, go ahead and do it, because you had some brilliant gameplay there. A little bit of an issue with the wall, but the defense was able to be picked up. Unfortunately, as you rightly saw, the economic damage there too much. But this is just giving a quick recap here of the journey that some of these players have taken to get here to the finals now. This Clappin' Cheek starting off with 10 Lings here. And a Forge going down as well for Legoland Man. Maybe anticipating some pressure here from Clappin' Cheeks with the Lings here. So Forge, always useful to have to aid in the defense, and that's exactly what it looks like Legoland is going to try to do here. Smartly so, respecting this pressure here from Clappin' Cheeks, already moving across the map, this probe having eyes on everything there. So giving the advanced report to Legoland Man, who will try to wall off here. I think that's a full wall off here. The Adept popping out on the other side as well. Remember, we have a Forge available, so cannons are able to be warped in, and there is one down as well to help with the defense. Adept not yet in range to strike against these Zerglings. There it will start now. Is this shield battery in range of the Forge? I'm not sure, but I don't think it will be needed. Maybe scratch that thought, though, as we have even more Lings joining the fray. The Ling production has stopped, notably, for Clappin' Cheeks. He is droning up now, researching Ling speed. He does have a decent handful on the map now, so Ling speed going to be even more useful for them to deny any bases of Legoland Man, deny any move outs, try to deny some scouting as well. Legoland Man, again, I think sees this. Maybe he was already before, but this time for sure opting for the Stargate, as Oracles have this nifty ability to fly over ground units and give even more scouting information, of course, are also to be used in the defense. It may not be Oracles, though. I forgot there's other Stargate units. Could be Phoenixes. We've been seeing more of those lately in PvZ. And it could be Void Rays, a rarer option, only for the most distinguished Protoss players, opting for the sort of, what's the word, the retro style here, the vintage style. And I don't know how I called it, but ladies and gentlemen, that is a Void Ray to start with. Legoland Man, definitely a bourbon drinker here. He likes the, again, the older styles. This is going to be a Void Ray first. Now, it may just be the single Void Ray, hunt down Overlords, but he may commit more into them. All gas is taken here on the bases for Legoland Man, so gonna have a lot of gas here, and may allude to some more Void Ray production. Yeah, as we do have another one in the pipeline. Robo also being dropped down here in the back of the natural base for Clappin' Cheeks. Interesting start so far for Legoland Man, as these Void Rays now are going to chase off the Zerglings. Again, smart choice there. Flying units able to deal with these Speedlings. They are dangerous in their own right on the ground, but of course they can do nothing in the air. Hydralisk Den going to be the answer here from Clappin' Cheeks. Hydras can shoot up, and you may try to get a decent handful of them to contest these Void Rays. I think just 2 being produced here. Yep, that's right. Only 2 produced here for Legoland Man, as a cancel is forced on that third base. Again, these Speedlings proving to be still a danger to Legoland Man, as the Void Ray, unfortunately, while it can deal with Lings easily, it takes a little bit of time to do so. Not as fast as, say, an Oracle. With that, again, Ling's coming back for round 2 here. Another cancel going to be forced on this third base. And Legoland Man got to be a bit frustrated there. It isn't the end of the world, but when these 2 players are as good as they are and as evenly matched as they are, every little bit of delay helps immensely here. Lings being produced here, as well as their ranged attack upgrade as well. Going to prove to be extra dangerous against these Void Rays now. 3 bases for Legoland Man. I'm sorry, for Clappin' Cheeks. Hybrid, noting that looks like Clappin' Cheeks was tricked into a high Hydralisk count, and does look to be the case, as again, only 2 Void Rays, as I said. Extended Thermal Lance and 2 Colossus on the way out for Legoland Man. And let's not forget, there is... I'm not certain. Somebody please update me if the Colossus Extended Thermal Lance bug has been addressed yet, or maybe not. We do have Hydralisk moving on to the third base, scaring away those Void Rays. Not too many units here for Legoland Man. Going to have to rely on a shield battery. Actually, I don't see a shield battery instead. That is a gateway instead. That is morphing in. Colossus will join the fray, and it may be exactly what Legoland Man needs. May lose a Void Ray or 2 in the process, but I think we can clearly tell he's okay trading those out. He's no longer using Stargate units here. Second Colossus will join the fray, and with that, the defense of this third base is assured. Well done there, Colossus. Dropping low in health, but fortunately will not fall. We do need a shield battery on this third base somewhere. That is in very much needed here for Clappin' Cheeks, as more pressure is coming his way, more Lings streaming through. Lings not the greatest against Colossus, but if they can get the wraparound, especially if there's only a handful of Protoss units, they can most definitely do some damage. These Lings Gonna go for the 4th base location, see that there's nothing here. Maybe stream into the natural. There's no units here guarding, so these Lings are gonna get all the way in. And Legoland Man not reacting yet. These Lings are in his main base. Probe's gonna be pulled to fight. Not always a good look when probes are going to fight, because you know you're going to start losing a bunch here. These Lings creating havoc in the main base of Legoland Man, forced to come back all the way home with his expensive units. Stargate is depowered. Robo facility may go down here. Lings are going to be cleaned up. Overall, not too much damage. Only a few probes being killed. Definitely could have been far worse there for Legoland Man. He got a bit lucky there. There was nothing there in this wall for him. And these Lings able to create some chaos again to power a few structures, maybe even take some down. But the defense and the reaction was there for Legoland Man, who is now using this opportunity to move across the map with his force he's got. Both of these players relatively equal in the army supply count. And an interesting composition here from Legoland Man. A single Void Ray, handful of Stalkers, and 3 Colossus. Those are the real damage dealers here. These Hydralisks in the front line, but they are getting melted through. It depends on the Stalkers and whether they can shield enough for them. I'm not sure. These Stalkers are falling like paper. The Blink Micro is there, but is it enough? These Hydralisks are also falling too. They are retreating back into the natural base of Clapping Cheeks here, is trying to hold the high ground to fight against these Colossus. Blaststalker does go down, but more joining the fray here, and Legoland Man is pushing through here, trying to strike directly at the heart of Clapping Cheeks, who is on the back foot here. Doesn't have much to defend with Corruptors in the pipeline, but he doesn't have many ground units to contest this force with, and Legoland Man is just wreaking absolute havoc on this natural base of Clapping Cheeks. First Colossus will fall. Second one is being worked on. These Stalkers need to target fire the Corruptors here. Those are the big money makers here for Legoland Man. They finally turn their little blasters against the Corruptors here. Last Colossus will fall, and with that, the Lings are streaming through as well, forcing a recall here for Legoland Man, who will get out after getting 8 drones for himself. Immortal, unlucky enough to be rallied across the map. Second one as well, didn't catch this. Do we have a third one? No, just 2. This one will also pay for its life, but actually going down with a fight here. Gonna clear up all these Lings. What do you do? Well, now there's no chance to go home. Really dicey engagement for both of these players. It is Legoland Man who's looking low in the army supply count, but able to do his fair share of damage across the map. 8 drones killed, 6 probes killed for Legoland Man from an earlier Ling run by there. Mineral loss, resource loss is higher for Clapping Cheeks, although not by much, and again, that is to be expected in a PvZ. So overall, both of these players, I say, fairly equal, and that's exactly what you want to see in a finals match. 4th base is on the way for Legoland Man, and a 4th base as well. I think this is the 4th base. I can't quite remember, but 4 base is already up and running for Clapping Cheeks, so he's going to be up in the income department, although only slightly so, surprisingly, as both of these players actually being diligent with their worker production are equal now. Clapping Cheeks did advance a little bit now. These Lings going to verify that the 4th base has indeed been dropped. Going to start working on it. Don't think it will go down before these Protoss units come through to try to defend. But Clapping Cheeks at least is aware of it, and this is where it starts to get dicey. A single lurker, yeah, misrallied through. Not sure. Well, I'm fairly certain that maybe it was misrallied, maybe not though. But this is a dangerous position for Protoss to be in, as once the base count starts to grow, the Ling run-bys, the Baneling run-bys start to get all the more dangerous. Let me flip on the production tab again to see what we're working with behind the scenes. Upgrades for both players coming through. That is a lot of Corruptors here, but no Colossus to strike against, so these Corruptors essentially dead weight in supply unless they can use their green bile, corrosive bile ability here. Disruptors as well to try to use against these lurkers, but that is a good handful of lurkers. Another danger of using Hydra Tech, because they can easily transition to lurkers, and this 4th base will go down low there for Legoland Man, who's still on 3rd bases. Meanwhile, Clapping Cheeks is on 4 bases, and he's got a strong position here. Oracle will reveal these lurkers now, but not all of them, so the Disruptor trying to go through clear out these lurkers. Only has 2 disruptors though, but some of these lurkers are revealed. Not all of them though. Again, I think there is an observer in here. Will it get taken out? It will not. These stalkers trading against the Hydras, who get hit with a big disruption Nova, but this lurker continuing to do work, has 3 kills, but these stalkers, the way they're lined up, there may be more. These stalkers are very frail now. Both of these players trading and losing so much army supply, and Legoland Man, I don't think, yes, he does have detection now. Gonna have to rely on the Zealots here to clear up this army. But Clappin' Cheeks' supply is looking a little bit healthier than Legoland Man's. And again, the economy is better as well for Clappin' Cheeks here, able to deny that 4th base expertly, utilizing lurkers and hydras, but now he may be on the back foot as Legoland Man. Again, both of these players trading blows back and forth. It's Legoland Man who's on the offensive here on the 4th base of Clappin' Cheeks. Will he be able to take it down? We have some Archons, but they are surrounded. Disruptor Ball does not get the Lings, instead gets taken down, but that is so many Zealots, and they are dangerous in their own right, especially against Hydras, which are in the production tab here. They need to maybe morph into some lurkers, or maybe not though, as a few lurkers won't be able to do too much. He needs detection for those anyway. Zealot's going to go into the main base. 4th base is taken down now. Handful of Stalkers and an Archon as well on the 4th base as well. 5th base has been dropped here for Clappin' Cheeks, but there is mayhem going on in his bases. A lot of damage being done here. So many workers falling down to 40 for Clappin' Cheeks. Meanwhile, Legoland Man on 70 here. This army is frail. May get cleaned up here. It may just continue forward. It all depends on the production here from Clappin' Cheeks. Mutas, I think, were in the pipeline as well. They may go into the natural or main base, or they may stay and fight here, as again, Zealots don't shoot up, and he does have more of them than he has anything else right now. Corruptors, again, he's got to send them across the map or something to use Caustic Spray, as right now they're not able to contribute all that much, only to take out the detection here, which is maybe the reason why he's keeping them around. But another base has fallen here for Clappin' Cheeks. Also, so many drones. This looks like the beginning of the end of game 1 here, down to 15 workers, and Legoland Man from a bleak position earlier on, able to power forward now, and Mutas, Corruptors, and a handful of Hydralisks against so many Archons. Not going to be able to do too much now as these Protoss units advancing through the natural ramp here, and I think Clappin' Cheeks knows his time is up. He taps out. Game 1 for Legoland Man. So much back and forth. Zach Vac, you said it best. These players trading constantly back and forth. Great first fight. And I can tell these players are going to give us exactly what we want as far as a finals series goes. Great match here. Yeah, things looking not too cheery for Legoland Man when he lost that 4th base down to 3 bases, of course, obviously, but able to regroup and transition from a Colossus based composition to Archon charge lot, and that proved to be the winning ticket there. First, he had to get through the lurkers, but with proper control and proper oracle usage, as well as proper observer control, was able to clear all of them up. That is oftentimes the most dangerous point for Protoss when dealing with lurkers, is the pressure that is put on you can often make you panic and just run straight into a wall of lurkers, losing your whole army in the process. Legoland Man did not fall for that, maintained his composure, and was able to deliver a nice decisive blow to take game 1. We're going to jump already now into game 2 here between these two players. I need some water, man. That was a back and forth match. We'll get started here. Ancient Cistern gonna be map number 2 here between these players. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting out of the yellow corner. This player is a Zerg player. It is Clappin' Cheeks. and his opponent fighting out of the yellow corner. This player is a Protoss player. It is Legoland Man. Legoland Man so far up one game in this series, a best of 5. Archon charge lot composition, the ticket to his victory in the previous match after dealing with lurkers and hydras, able to kill not 1 but 2 bases before forcing his way into the natural, striking at the heart of Clappin' Cheeks, who then was forced to tap out. Gateway Scout again from Legoland Man, being diligent with his information gathering there. So far only 1 gas, 1 worker on that gas here from Legoland Man. So nothing too tech heavy to start off with, focusing instead on the economy, as the second Nexus will be dropped down here as well after Legoland Man, of course, verifying. Nothing too fishy going on across the other side of the map. I have to wonder what the tech choice will be here from Legoland Man. Had an interesting start in the last game with the Stargate into 2 Void Rays, forcing the Hydralisk response there from Clappin' Cheeks. We will see when he decides to go with this time. See what kind of variety we have here tonight. Versus depth already being pumped out. Going to be likely sent across the map for some scouting, maybe pick off some drone kills. And a third base, I think, also on the way for Clappin' Cheeks. Those are just Lings, excuse me. With Ling speed also being researched here for Clappin' Cheeks. Another Stargate for Legoland Man. Will we see the same start as last time? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it did work pretty decently for him in the last game. Able to pick off Overlords with it. Pick off some Lings as well. Adept's going to meet some Zerglings here. Painful to see them try to contest the Adept without any speed. And Legoland Man, good control with the Adept as well, not letting it fall to the Zerglings. Not accidentally finishing any shades he shouldn't be. Oracle going to be the first choice here from Legoland Man. So there's already your first difference there. And more of a standard traditional start. Zach Vag asking if he faked the Warp Gate research. I'm not sure. I feel like this Warp Gate has been researching for a while, but I can't tell if that's just, you know, the way my brain processes time or not. Void Ray going to be the second choice here. Again, interesting unit set coming out of that Stargate here. Interesting only because Void Rays, you just don't see them too often in PvZ. Unfortunately, I think I did miss a couple workers falling to an Adept that shaded in. Yeah, it does look like that was the case. So 1 Adept able to manage to get through and inflicting a little bit of economic damage. Now this Oracle going to come into the main base. There's a Queen there to meet it, but not much else. This Oracle may be able to make off with a couple of drone kills. There's 1, there's 2. The target firing has to be there for him. In fact, getting a decent amount there. 3 additional workers. And a Void Ray again going to clear off these Overlords. Adept, I think, does see the amount of Zerglings, has a revelation on them, sees them moving out across the map again. With an Oracle and a Void Ray, they will be able to deal with those Zerglings as well. And another Robo being dropped here. So definitely just using the Stargate to claim that first bit of map control, maybe get an Overlord kill or 2, and then moving on into his next tech choice here. Clappin' Cheeks notably maintaining himself on 2 bases here and has ceased droning up as well. Spire has been dropped, so Looking like some 2-base Muta play from him. And that can always... Yeah, there we go. There's that Muta button. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got a little surprising 2-base Muta play. Third base is dropped down. Going to be worked on by the single Oracle, but I think it's going to run out of energy before much can happen. Muta's extremely dangerous against Protoss players, especially. I find Protoss players just either get caught completely by surprise, or if the Mutas do make their presence known, the Protoss players often don't respect it enough. You know, they may drop a shield battery or two. Cancel there on the third base as the Void Ray does join in. But Protoss players really have to be diligent about respecting the Mutas here, as I don't think Legoland Man is even aware of it now. No shield batteries in the main base or the natural base. Muta's going to be able to come in and get some worker kills here. Just a handful of stalkers for Legoland Man. And the Ling's also coming through too. There weren't any units blocking the wall here, so much chaos already happening here for Legoland Man. It's a full-on assault. Void Rays will be called here to defend against these Mutas, and shield battery overcharge. Great use, great timing there on that overcharge. This Muta's going to go into the main base, but again, Lings have been completely cleaned up, so we do have that dealt with already. Oracle falls. Muta's getting 20 workers. So much economic damage already as they continue to press forward, and Legoland Man trying to desperately chase these Mutas. Muta's going to turn their little mouth guns against the Void Ray. Will take one down in the process, but as their numbers dwindle, their damage dwindles a little bit, but not all too much. Again, the worker kills continuing to mount up here for Clappin' Cheeks. Legoland Man continuing to lose more worker kills. We do have a Phoenix finally joining the fray. And more Phoenixes on the way as well, as Legoland Man desperately trying to come up with a solution to these Mutas. They continue to wreak havoc on his base now. 2 Phoenixes, one will get taken down though. You want to keep him alive. Will the second one fall? Yes, it will. And just a handful of Stalkers and a single Void Ray. These Mutas having so much more staying power than maybe Clappin' Cheeks thought they would have, and being able to inflict so much more economic damage than he thought they may have. Now, these players still are equal on worker counts, as Clappin' Cheeks did cease, hold off on droning up to get these 2-base Mutas out. As trying to use a hodgepodge of units to contest these Mutas is Legoland Man, but the trades are not really that great for him. Loses all of his Void Rays, all of his Phoenixes. One Stalker goes down. Will he clear up all of the Stalkers? If there's no Stalkers left, these Mutas will have absolute complete free reign here, finally. These Mutas will back off. Legoland Man, though, is already bloodied 8 minutes into this match. As a really good use of the Mutas here by Clappin' Cheeks, wanting to get on the board here with this second match. Taking out his frustration after that first match on Legoland Man, obviously here, with these Mutas who were able to do so much economic damage. Let's look at the workers lost count. 24 workers lost here for Legoland Man, being saved only by the sheer probe production that he's got going on. More probes also on the way. These Mutas coming in again. There's not enough units to shoot up at them, and the Muta count has just continued to grow. Zerglings also joining the fray as well. More Mutas in the pipeline here. Legoland Man choosing to tech up, produce Phoenixes to try to help this, but as the last Stalker goes down, he's got nothing to contest these Mutas aside from this one Phoenix, which is precariously low on health. Second one will join the fray, but Clappin' Cheeks knows. He smells blood in the water. He's catching these units that have been desperately sent across the map because he knows there's no defense for them, trying to send them away into the countryside so they're safe from the aerial assault, but they will all get picked off. The army supply for Legoland Man at an abysmal 18, and these Mutas continue to pile up and wreak havoc on the bases here of Legoland Man. Finally, the Phoenix Hound at a decent level, but 3 is not nearly enough to deal with them. Keeping them alive, though, good control with the Phoenixes. He needs to keep up that control and needs to keep them close to shield batteries. One will go down. Every Phoenix is desperately needed here. This third base is continuing to be cleaned up here. All the probes have been evacuated to the main and natural base, but the damage is piling on here from Clappin' Cheeks, who wants to take game 2 here already with force, with authority here, as the Mutas continue to pile on. There is no sign of let up in this pressure, and Corruptors also joining the fray. They're going to be extremely valuable against these Phoenixes. Colossus trying to make its way down to help against these Zerglings, utilizing that cliff walking ability to keep itself safe. But Legoland Man, he's the one that's bloodied up this match so far. He's on the back foot, and Clappin' Cheeks trying to pressure him, continuing to press forward, press his advantage he's got with the Mutas and with the Lynx. Keep Legoland's man back against the wall here. Lynx almost get a surround there on the Stalker, still trying to. These Mutas still high in numbers, trying to take down the Phoenixes, now turning their mouth guns against the Stalkers instead. Overcharge going to be used, but not nearly in range for the Stalkers, as all of them will be falling here, at least a good handful of them, with Overcharge saving the day only briefly. So Clappin' Cheeks continuing the pressure, staying in Legoland Man's face, and I think Legoland Man knows that his time is up soon. To be fair, he's fighting, and he's fighting hard, but this is a tough position to try to dig himself out of. I love the spirit of Legoland Man. He's going again for that third base. Warp Prism gets taken out with 2 Stalkers in it. Devastating loss there. Not huge, but you don't want to be losing Warp Prisms with any units here. Again, the army count looking so low here for Legoland Man, who continues to press forward. Is Jon Snow in the face of a superior army, but he knows his time is up. He calls it GG. Clappin' Cheeks moving forward. And with that, both of these players tied up 1-1 in this series. I know it doesn't show the score reflected in the matchup card there, but these players tied up 1-1 in this best-of-5 series. The back-and-forth battles are here, ladies and gentlemen, for the final match of this Amateur League Tournament number 65. Wow, whew. I'm sweating. I was feeling the pressure from that one. Clappin' Cheeks just staying on it constantly that entire match. And yeah, as I said, I don't think it was a case of Legoland Man not respecting the Mutas enough. I just think he got caught out of position a little too badly there. And you know, once that happens, it's very easy to snowball into a worse and worse position. You know, trying to desperately use his Stalkers, the Void Rays to help out, and then switching into the Phoenixes. But the Mutas being too much and getting too many good trades there, able to isolate the units of Legoland Man. And it was only downhill from there. Now, to Legoland Man's credit, he stayed in there. I mean, he was fighting and fighting for his life. We saw him try to throw down a third base with 13 army supply. I love this player's spirit, and that tells me he will not be put away so easily in this match, and neither will Clappin' Cheeks. Remember, he is the one that just won this last game, and he is the one that has forced it currently into a tied series 1-1. I'm excited to see what these players have in store for us in the third match. Woo! As we are just waiting now on the next map to get chosen. Whew. Great match. Mutas, yeah, they are a valid choice, especially I think in PvZ, ZVP. The 2-base Muta play was surprising for Legoland Man, and it was impressive to see Clappin' Cheeks. You know, that's how he tries to regain the reins in this series. Lost his first match, and you could almost kind of see, even though we don't have player cams, you could see him sort of, you know, shake it off and say, all right, what do I need to do to get back into this series? And spoilers, it's Mutas. As we are just waiting for Clappin' Cheeks to see what map, for Clappin' Cheeks' input, to see what map these players will be playing on next. Yeah, I mean, I hope you all are enjoying this series so far as much as I am. Because the back and forth from these players is really a treat to watch. And I'm not sure who all is in the audience right now, who all is more familiar with the Amateur League tournament players. As I mentioned previously, I'm more familiar so far with the DesignedKiller Tournaments, as I recently sort of, started streaming here. All that is to say, though, it's interesting to see, these players, they tend to play these tournaments frequently, so they start to get a feel for how the other plays, what their tendencies are, what their play styles are. So if anybody's got some insider knowledge, any interesting input, feel free to share it in the chat, or if you just want to share your predictions too. I can't call it right now at this moment. The sample size is too low. I do know that both of these players are going to fight hard and go down swinging. Average MMR in this league, that is a good question. I'll have to look that up for you later, Roberto, as we did just load up into game number 3 here. Adjusting the score before I introduce these players. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting out of the yellow corner. This player is a Zerg player, and this player is Clappin' Cheeks. Clappin' Cheeks indeed, this player is. And in the blue corner, this player is a Protoss player. It is Legoland Man. And already to start with, we have Legoland Man able to deny the attempt at a natural expansion there for Clappin' Cheeks, and going to solidify that with a pylon as well, so forcing the base to be moved to the third base location here. Always a bit dangerous for Zerg players to have to do that, just because it makes defending your 2 bases that much more difficult. The creep spread not going to be there as easily. Obviously, the creep has longer distances to travel when you're working with a fewer amount of queens. And it does make early harassment options, such as adepts and even oracles later on, a bit later on, all the more deadly. What is this pro doing here? What are you doing? Interesting little proxy placement here for Legoland Man. And looks like we'll get our first taste of some cheese this evening. I have a weakness for cheese. I'm partial to Stilton. As I mentioned before, I am studying in the UK now, and these people have put me onto Stilton cheese, which is pretty good now. This is going to be gateway cheese, direct from the caves of France here. So gateway proxy, not all too common in PvZ, but early on in this game when the lane count is low or non-existent, definitely viable here. And this placement tells you that it's going to be used for some aggression early on here for Legoland Man. Speed being researched here for Clappin' Cheeks. A bit of just a blind tech choice there. Not blind, maybe not the best word choice there, but I think gonna be able to help out with whatever aggression Legoland Man chooses to come out with. And once Clappin' Cheeks is able to clear it out, the Zergling speed will allow him to scout the rest of the map more easily, especially once he's aware that there is a proxy out there somewhere, and he'll be able to clear it up. Now, Glaive Adept's gonna be the choice here for Legoland Man. More gateways are being dropped as well. Gonna be moving up to 4 gateways here. And again, the denial on the natural expansion makes even more sense now. As I mentioned, the creep spread, you can see it's a bit disjointed here. Clappin' Cheeks was forced to choose where to spread the creep, and rather than connecting his bases smoothly here, you have it disjointed, which will make defending Gladept builds all the more difficult. So really going to come down to the control here for Clappin' Cheeks, how he's able to split his attention, split his focus, and going for some Max Packs seasoning here with the Dark Shrine follow-up as well. Been a little bit since I've seen it, but I have seen it popularized initially by Max Packs, and he liked to use this for a while, a lot, and he got great results with it too. I mean, he was unstoppable with it for a while before Zerg players learned to kind of deal with it. And Legoland Man sort of taking his cues here, as now these Adepts will be shading in, it looks like, into the natural base. They do complete the shade, wanting to take the fight here with the Queens here. We'll get one Queen for his troubles. These Adepts all still alive here. This is looking to be very dangerous here. The drone count still low as far as what drones have been killed, but now looking to climb high as he gets right into the main mineral line. And 10 workers have fallen so far. Clappin' Cheeks desperately trying to pull these workers, but his worker count is already half that of Legoland Man, and I'm scared for him for this Dark Templar follow-up. There doesn't seem to be any detection whatsoever, so once these Dark Templar come into the third base, you can't help but think it'll be GG's here. These Dark Templar do make their presence known, attacking the third base. I think just letting Clappin' Cheeks know, hey, you're in a bad position here. I've got Dark Templar and you don't have any detection, and also you don't have any workers, as he's continuing to tear through. No workers mining into the main base. They've been desperately evacuated to the natural base, but now guess what? Peekaboo, these Adepts are into the natural base as well, continuing to lay on the worker count. So far just working on Lings, but the Lings really don't matter when you can't even see what you're being attacked by, as these Dark Templar continuing to move forward. Legoland Man decisively wanting to take game 3 here, as Clappin' Cheeks doesn't have an answer for these Dark Templar. Working on some Overseers, but his economy is just absolutely gutted. Again, these Dark Templar working in the natural base. I mean, Clappin' Cheeks, I'm not sure what his follow-up is going to be here, as his economy is just in absolute shambles. 10 workers to the 45 of Legoland Man, who, by the way, is establishing his third base here and can do so comfortably because he knows he's delivered the damage he needs to. Gonna back off for the moment, but Legoland Man, I think, is sitting very pretty. Both of these players sort of back to their corner. No, I made that up because Legoland Man has moved across the map again with these Adepts. I think Clappin' Cheeks rolling his eyes again, thinking, again, you're back into my base here? Please, leave me alone. Get off of me. I'm already against the wall, in the corner here, bloodied up, and just trying to desperately hang on. He does have a decent amount of Queens. Does have some Zerglings to try to contest. Will these Adepts complete the shade? They will, trying to get more worker kills. Kind of a surround there, but already you cannot afford to be losing any more workers. 3 is not a huge amount, but when you're on 11, I mean, that's essentially 30% of your entire economy there. And GG is called. Clappin' Cheeks has had enough. He has to tap out. Legoland Man takes game number 3 here. Amazingly done there. Amazingly done there by Legoland Man. The Max Packs inspired Gladepts into Dark Templar, working wonders for him. Even without the Dark Templar, the Adepts got so many drone kills. It was up to like 20, I think, 18 to 20. And had he just settled with those worker kills, I mean, he still would have been in an amazing position of advantage moving forward from that match. Dark Templar, just the icing on the cake. They're able to snipe down the third base of Clappin' Cheeks, who was finally able to morph in some Overseers, pick off those Dark Templar, but it was wave 2 of the Adepts that just proved to be too much for Clappin' Cheeks. He had to take a knee and was given the counts by the referee. Thankfully, There are more matches to be played, so the next round will be starting, but it is Legoland Man up 2 games to 1 in this best of 5 series. The 1-2 punch, that's right, Roberto. Would love to see it. I love builds like that. I think Protoss builds are the most aesthetically pleasing to watch. You know, I mean, of course, you think of Terran as having the, what's the word? Formulaic build, for lack of a better term. You know, because you go 1-1-1 or you go 2-1-1, 3 racks. I mean, and you can tell that I'm not a Terran player, but you know, there is variety with Terran builds, and there is a formula to be followed there. But it's the Protoss builds that, when executed well, I mean, it's like playing an instrument. When it all comes together, it is really, really nice to see, and that's what we got to see from Legoland Man again with this 1-2 punch of the Adepts, followed by the Dark Templar. That won in game number 3. We are moving now into game number 4. Match point here for Legoland Man. He's up 2-1 in this series. If he wins this next match, we have our weekly Amateur League Tournament champion. As we will get started with the player introductions here. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting out of the yellow corner. This player is a Zerg player. This is Clappin' Cheeks. And his opponent staring him down across the other side of Royal Blood. The blue Protoss player, it is Legoland Man. And it is Legoland Man again, who is on match point here, 2-1 in this best of 5 series. Previous match won by a brilliant execution of Gladeps into Dark Templar. Roberto saying Protoss and Terran, he feels like they have the tightest timings. I very much agree with that. I very, very much agree with that. I would argue, of course, I am biased because I am a Protoss player myself. I'd argue it feels like Protoss has the slightly tighter timings. Meaning, of course, I mean, every race, you got to be on it with your timings, with your build execution. You know, this is essentially a moot point to argue, but just the way that Protoss works, you know, they can be tricksters, but if you're prepared for whatever play, whatever trickery they're going to come at you with, if you're prepared for it, it can be shut down quite easily. You know, for example, you can know that there's a Widow Mine drop coming, but if your attention isn't on it, if your worker pull isn't on it, if your splits aren't there, you could still end up losing a lot of workers. If you know Dark Templar are coming and you get some detection, and you have the right amount of units in, you can shut it down, you can zone out the War Prism. Likewise, you know, perhaps with a charge all into base, right? If you can wall off against it, prepare yourself. Of course, I'm being selective with my examples here, so, you know, I'm not trying to start a war of which race has the tighter timings here, but there are a lot of situations where Protoss timings have to be extremely tight. Same thing with Terran, as you said, Roberto, and same thing with Zerg. You know, I mean, they're not often the aggressive ones, right? But you got to be on it with your timings all the same. Stargate gonna be the first tech choice here for Legoland Man. Zergling speed being worked on for Clappin' Cheeks, and Baneling's being researched as well for him too. Bit of an interesting choice this match. As both of these players are just, well, it is just Legoland Man who is probing up right now. Clappin' Cheeks, there we go. There's the drone count. Got an Adept and a probe here. No kills on it yet, but you'll get there one day, kid. Stick with me, and you'll be... What's the highest rank a Protoss unit could get? I can't remember. Adjucator? Adjunct? No, that's what my professor is. I don't know. Probe, though, I think his days of war fighting are over. He's going to go back home to the mines. It's this Adept going to get a scout off into the third base. Good handful of lings being produced here by Clap and Cheeks. These lings do have speed as well, so going to be a bit more dangerous to this Adept, who I think sees the ling speed, trying to get out of dodge there. Good Overlord positioning here as well by Clap and Cheeks, sort of flanking the two bases here of Legoland Man. This Overlord concerns me a little bit. This is often where Niduses like to pop out of. I mean, it could just be there to, you know, try to get a certain scout off at a certain timing. But with a Void Ray out on the map, it does look like this Overlord's this Overlord's days are numbered. A lot of lings chilling outside of the natural base here of Legoland Man. Trying to force the way through, but this time Legoland Man on it with the plug in the wall. No third base quite yet coming out of him, but we do have a Baneling buzz. Now we know what those Banelings are for, and Legoland Man sees it, trying to target that as many as he can. Stalker in the lead of the wall will be able to absorb a lot of Banelings, but still so many more Zerglings get in. Phoenix is not going to be able to help out a lot against these Zerglings. We do have a Void Ray here. 2 lings will be picked up. They can contribute to the fight, but there's so many more streaming now into the main base. Clap and Cheeks coming right back at it with the early aggression, getting so many probe kills here as Legoland Man is pulling them to try to fight this onslaught. More lings continuing to stream through. Finally, a wall is placed, but so many workers have been pulled, and that's it. GG. Clap and Cheeks takes game number 4 here. The back and forth battles are here tonight, folks. These two players not pulling any punches. They want this finals victory, and they're going to work hard for it. Legoland Man saying not a good time to go Mass Phoenix. I think we can all agree, but I don't think many of us would have expected that Baneling bust into a ling flood. Brilliantly done there by Clap and Cheeks, who himself had to adhere to the tight timings mentioned earlier to pull this off. He brings it into the ace match here of this grand finals for the Amateur League Weekly. Both of these players tied up 2-2 going into this 5th and final round. Brilliantly done by both of these players. I hope you all are watching this incredible back and forth series like I have. Truly has been an honor to cast it. Bum 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 bum. 5th round. Both of these players also showing a lot of variety in their builds and in their execution as well. They're not one-trick ponies we're dealing with, and I guess that's why they're the ones who made it to the finals here. We've seen everything from, again, Gladeps. We've seen Robo Bay pushes with Colossus. We've seen Baneling busts. We've seen surprise mutas on 2 bases. A lot of variety being shown by these players, and a lot of good technical, strong technical showcase from these 2 players as well, as they are not lacking in their macro or in their unit control. Again, they're losing these games, I think, not due to a lack of defensive ability, but due to a sheer the sheer force that these 2 players go at each other with. As we have loaded up into the final map here, Babylon gonna be the deciding map for these 2 players. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening, the 5th and final round between these 2 players. Tied up now going into the final match here. Introducing first, fighting out of the yellow corner. This player is a Zerg player. It is Clap and Cheeks. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner. This player is a blue Protoss player. It is Legoland Man. Both of these players have clawed their way here into the, again, as I said, 5th and final match of this finals series here for the Amateur League Weekly, number 65. Presented here by your host Stasis on StarCraft 2 Fight Night. As Legoland Man going for a pylon on the low ground. We do have a forge just finishing up as well. I'm just now catching that, so it looks like a cannon rush. Now, is this going to be a dedicated cannon rush or just a cannon rush to try to deny this second base? Good probe control there. Got to be careful with it, though. If he loses the probe, this whole thing goes up in smoke now. More drones being pulled here to try to defend against these pylons going down. One cannon will go down as well. Will these drones be enough to drill through, trying to trap these drones? But the probe is taken out now for Clapping Cheeks. That will put an end so far to this cannon rush. Legoland Man not happy with this slip up there. Cancels the wrong building too, he says. So this cannon rush is effectively shut down. That's going to be it. He GG's out. Clapping Cheeks is your this week's champion here. Not how we expected it to go, I don't think so, but I mean, understandable as the probe falling and then the incorrect building being canceled there. When you've committed already to that kind of cannon rush, yeah, it's the writing is on the wall there. Legoland Man recognizing that, taps out. I can't believe that's how we get the final game to end when we've had such dramatic matches earlier on in this series. I'm not complaining. It's did not expect for this series to end the way it did, just judging on the previous matches that we've seen. But there we go. That's it. What a way to end it, Roberto says. I have to agree. What a way to end it. And in fact, that will be it for this week's Amateur League tournament here. Well done to all of the players who played in this tournament. I was not able to cast all of you. To those who I was able to cast, thank you for letting me into your matches. I believe we started this stream following Babylon, so special shout out to Babylon for letting us join his tournament run, and he made a fairly deep run as well. In fact, why don't we look at the bracket here? Let's take a look at the bracket, just so we can recap the tournament run here. Yeah, crazy ending indeed. GG's to all of these players. GG to Legoland Man and Clappin' Cheeks, aka the king of comedy and the king of this week's Amateur League Weekly Tournament. Extremely well done. The back and forth. If you could see these players coming out of the ring right now, they'd be all lumped up, bruised, and bloodied. Despite the unexpectedly quick way that final round ended, it truly was an amazing back and forth. So glad I was able to cast it. So glad you all were able to join us for this tournament as well. Picked a good week to watch. Thank you, Glacius. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the congratulations. Really kind of you. Seems so natural. Wow. I'm sweating actually right now, but yeah, no, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And thank you, Glacius, for letting me cast as well. I reached out to him saying, hey man, I'm free tonight. I know you've got a tournament. Can I cast? He said, sure thing, buddy. And yeah, big props to him for organizing everything, letting me stream tonight, cast this tournament. Great tournament, great players as well. Let me take you all to that bracket I was telling you about. Zach back, I'm not sure if I had told you. But thank you again for yeah, great cast, he says. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, man. Hopefully we'll have you guys in here next time on StarCraft 2 Fight Night. Don't know what tournament we have next coming up. More than likely it'll be the DesignedKiller Tournament, the High Caliber Cup, every Friday, 7 p.m. Central European time. I've been casting those mainly, and not sure if I will be catching this next one now that I think back to my mental calendar, but I'll update you all later about that. Anyway, bracket, just to recap everything. Let me just get it ready here. Alrighty. Now, if you all want to take a look, let me maybe make this slightly bigger here so we can see. We started off with Babylon against Jay Crizzle. These were in the lower bracket as well, I should add. So all of these games were best of ones. So Babylon defeating Jay Crizzle, moving on to David Latos, PVZ. Again, Babylon was victorious, giving us the sampler platter into his PvP. Let me zoom out here. Against Heyman. Again, proving victorious there, but it was his match against Colt Classic, another PVZ that he was finally halted in his run by. And then Colt Classic himself, a victim of the King of Comedy's joke of a mirror match gameplay. Of course, it wasn't a joke. It was extremely skilled, as we saw. And then finally into the finals match against Legoland Man and King of Comedy, where again, King of Comedy proving to be the victor here, proving to be just a little bit stronger, as he was able to ward off unfortunately failed Cannon Rush in that final match there. So yeah, it looks like that's gonna be it for me tonight, folks. Thank you again so much for sticking around for some StarCraft 2 Fight Night. Roberto, always a pleasure to hear from you, man. Talk to you. We gotta hang out soon. And thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the compliments, guys, for the casting. It really does help a lot. I do enjoy doing it, of course. Look to do some more of it. And, you know, feel free to give me your feedback, good and bad. I do want to improve, and you can only improve if you've got something to work on, and I am certain I still have a lot to work on, so thank you all for joining me in this journey. Again, we'll see you next time on StarCraft 2 Fight Night. Good night.